Crime Curious is a true crime podcast that takes an in-depth look into real cases through the lens of a trained investigator and former prosecutor turned judge.
If you are sensitive to expletives, anatomical descriptions, and accurate descriptions of crime scenes, this podcast may not be suitable for you.
Hey Crime Curious crew, we wanted to tell you how you can fuel your soul with every sip from Pretty Bomb Coffee, one of our small business sponsors that we have fallen in love with. Welcome to a coffee experience born of service, heart, and bold Pacific Northwest flavor. This veteran-owned, woman-run, and faith-based small business comes with a mission: craft clean, delicious energy for life's everyday moments. After 22 years in the Air Force, one of the founders of Pretty Bomb Coffee brought his devotion home, where he supports his wife's dream to serve up more than just coffee. They serve purpose. The beans are roasted in small batches by a family-owned roaster in Washington State, blended exclusively for Pretty Bomb Coffee to deliver rich, bold flavor with smooth character in every brew. Every cup tells a story. They skip the artificial stuff, and they keep it real with plant-based, dye-free ingredients, whether it's a velvety espresso or vibrant, all-natural energy drinks. You'll taste the difference and feel it too. You can choose your grind: drip, espresso, French press, or whole bean. Available in 12-ounce and 16-ounce bags, shipped straight to your doorstep. Or you can stop by one of their 2 locations in Gaffney, South Carolina, where the coffee's hot and the welcome's even warmer. Because coffee should do more than wake you up, it should make you feel good. So visit prettybombcoffee.com for their online shop and physical locations, and use code BOMB10 for 10% off your first order. That's www.prettybombcoffee.com and use code BOMB10 for 10% off your first order. Welcome to Crime Curious. I'm Charnell.
I'm Megan, and that was a sign it was my episode.
Yep.
And Brain Breath Jason's here too.
Oh, it is part 2 time, my friend.
Yes,
I'm so excited.
So if you are tuning in and have not already listened to part 1 of the Bishop family murders, you need to go back one or you're going to be lost.
Yeah.
So we're going to go back to the disappearance, voluntary at this point, of William Bradford Bishop.
Oh, Bill Bishop.
Brad, not Bill.
William.
Bradford.
Oh, you're turning to Bill? Now we have Bill Bradford Bishop.
It was William.
Bradley,
I thought it was William Bradford.
It is, but she shortened William to Bill.
Oh my
you know
God.
how some people that are Williams go to Bill for
Yeah,
absolutely
my
no
Really?
reason?
Because it's short for William?
They do. I'm telling you, Williams
Almost
become Bill.
all
I know this.
Williams.
That's
But why
Bill
do-
is short for William.
But why
Yes.
do we do that?
I don't know. Why do you call me Jay most of the time?
Because
'cause
we
it's the
don't have
beginning of
time.
your name.
The only
to
time
say
you
the
ever
other
call
letters.
me Jason is on this show.
I know. You also could call me C, and I'd know what that means. Oh.
No,
He does,
no,
but he
I
follows
do,
it with
but
3 additional
yeah,
letters.
Yeah.
Oh.
See you next Tuesday.
Oh, ladies.
I bet he has never called me
I've never
that.
called you that, even behind your back.
No.
I agree.
I've never.
And I've listened to him talk to you behind
Yeah.
your back about you behind your back, and he's never said that.
That's really
I
nice.
call,
This
you
is.
I call you a witch.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's fair.
Did
It
you call
fits.
her one, or did you say she was acting like a?
Oh, no.
I've been told there's a difference.
I've never called her. I don't think I've ever called you a bitch. I call her a witch because of her voodoo.
Oh yeah, you
I-
just mean the
yeah.
voodoo part.
yeah.
Oh, well, she's
no,
a witch.
she's not
Well,
like a mean
earlier
witch.
we were on the
She's like
phone.
Glenda, the good witch.
I am.
With the music.
Yeah.
again,
And earlier I got on the phone with him, and instantly my right eye started
He
hurting.
told me.
And I was like, Jason, what did your right eye hurt? Like, what's going on, man? He's like, it hurts so bad.
Well, and
I
then
was
I
like,
felt
yeah.
left out because I started
you
getting a
didn't have a
migraine around the
headache.
same. No, I started getting a headache around the same time, but mine's always my left eye, and you guys are the right eye.
Honestly,
you complete us.
Left eye is where I get
That
my
was
migraine.
the sweetest, weirdest thing ever. That's so not true.
Left Eye, wasn't that crazy bitch from the rap band?
Lisa Left Eye Lopez
Yeah.
from TLC.
TLC.
She burned. Was she the one that burned down Andre Rison's house?
Listen, sometimes a guy needs to learn a fucking
He
lesson.
probably had it coming.
You got to learn a lesson.
And Megan,
Speaking
all
of guys that
all
need to
of-
learn lessons,
all my migraines
Bill-
come from
Bill
my
Brad.
left eye. So we have that
Okay.
connection. Don't you worry,
This wasn't
baby.
a migraine. It was just a weird, like,
Yeah, it was a
instant
pain.
spasm.
it was
so weird.
that's called a tick.
I'm like, my head hurts. She's like, is
Not
your
the
right
kind
eye?
that
I'm like,
bit you.
yes.
but like a TIC, like a twitch.
A tick. Okay, tell me about Billy Bishop.
Well, I'm going to give you some profiling here
Please
now.
do.
Because I think that there's always something to learn. So the FBI indicated that Bishop was an avid outdoorsman. Now, I know you think this is shocking, or not shocking. You kind of made like obviously he disappeared in the mountains, but what have we really heard so far about him going off on long camping trips and outdoorsmen?
That's why I said interesting, because I'd like to know.
I didn't get the impression he was an outdoorsman.
Well,
I thought he was kind of a suit and a nerd.
Unless he was a spy in the military.
Well, exactly.
And we don't know what type of activities, again, he was doing when he was stationed in these other areas.
We do not.
I think what they meant by avid outdoorsman, though, is they said he enjoys camping and hiking. Okay,
me too.
I'm not avid.
hate camping. I love hiking. I am not avid either of those.
No.
Like, you could call me an avid hiker, but I like it. I'm not a professional.
Based on what we learned about him and his background in episode 1, I'm willing to bet he was a legit spy for the government.
Well, let me just compound that, because it was also
pound
reported.
it for us, Megan.
Let me pound this in for you.
Oof.
Oh, did we shake our gree-gree?
No.
Guys, get it done.
I'm even holding it.
I know.
It was reported also he has a pilot's license from when he was stationed in Africa.
Of course he does. Oh, right. He was in Africa. He absolutely knows how to survive in the wilderness. That's all there is there.
Right.
But means of escape and avoiding capture.
License?
Now he has a pilot. Now he's an avid outdoorsman. He speaks 5 different languages. He's traveled the entire world. He has a State Department ID that he's currently using.
He has money.
He's got money.
And he kept his ID that we know of, so he can flash it around occasionally.
At that point in time, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. So he also was reported to have enjoyed riding motorcycles and working out on a weekly basis. So
he's fit.
He's fit. I think you could tell that even from the picture.
Yeah,
like, this is a man that takes care of himself.
His OCD probably wouldn't allow anything else.
They did know. I bet they didn't ever mention OCD, but I see it. Do you get the feeling?
Absolutely.
Well, he has a history of depression and insomnia, which we've discussed. Having been afflicted with both conditions and taking Serax, which is oxazepam. Well, any time I see the apams at the end, you're thinking things like Xanax and things like that. In the time leading up to the murders. So we know that he was afflicted with those particular mental health conditions and was highly medicated on that very strong tranquilizer at the time the murders occurred, and he disappeared. We also know that he is fond of dogs. He also enjoys...
Thank God for that, at least.
Yep, he didn't murder the dog. He enjoys... And I like all of these things, by the way, so it makes me worry about myself a little.
A little bit.
I like dogs. He also enjoys Scotch whiskey. Check.
Sure.
Peanuts.
Yeah.
Check.
Who doesn't love a peanuts?
And spicy
People with
foods.
allergies.
Spicy foods. I love it too. He likes a little bit of the Mexican.
Okay, so far he's a Scorpio. Got it.
Bishop has a 6-inch vertical scar.
I thought she was going to say something else. Like,
No,
Where
I
is
think
the
we already
scar?
established what our thought is.
Right.
On his lower back from surgery. So this is an identifying marker. They're telling us so that we know, in case people were to see him with a shirt, he has a 6-inch vertical scar on his back, lower back from surgery.
Do you have a disc?
It doesn't say, but we knew that he had surgery. Probably medically they didn't release that, or they did the FBI, but he had surgery.
Interesting.
Maybe he got shanked or something in a foreign country.
Well, that's true,
Or at
especially if
home.
he was a spy.
He also has a cleft chin. Clearly, we saw that, which is a really unique
endearing.
identifying marker, and a facial mole on his left cheek, like he's rocking the Cindy Crawford style. He may have had his father's Smith & Wesson MP38 special revolver with the serial number C981967. Everyone, check your old 38 specials to see if you ended up with a murderer's Smith & Wesson. And
I think it's
that'd
safe
be
to
like
say
a Willy
he
Wonka
did
golden
have.
ticket. Be like, oh my God.
It would be. And then to track back where you got it. I'm not joking. If you have a Smith & Wesson M&P 38 special revolver and you don't know how you got it, maybe you inherited it, go fucking check the serial number. C981967.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he may have also had, of course, his Yale class ring with him when he vanished. Because how do you know somebody went to Yale?
Because they fucking tell
They
you
will fucking
every
tell
chance
you
they get.
every chance they get. That's right.
CrossFit people and vegetarians and people from Yale. You're going to know immediately.
Truer statements have never been made.
You are absolutely right.
He also, this guy is trying to hide.
No offense to any of the people that identify with that statement.
Oh, I'm so sorry if you went to Yale for so many reasons, but I feel like this is the guy who's in the wilderness hiking, like trying to escape, and he's like, "Hey, don't worry." As he's there in his $400 shoes, I went to Yale. He's showing him his ring.
I know what I'm doing.
He is also,
And I do CrossFit.
And I work out,
and I don't wear leather or eat meat.
Right.
You're gonna love this part, Jason. It just, again, because your theory is the same one. I think that's it's the one that you need to jump to if you're logical.
It's a quick, easy one.
He is also believed to have taken his diplomatic passport with him.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Absolutely. I knew it.
And here's why we know that.
He's a ghost.
Among all of the family's diplomatic passports, his was the only one missing from the house.
Yeah.
So,
I said that before we started recording, that this man had multiple identifications and he had them with him.
I'm going to throw out another, I don't know, just theory or question mark.
I love it. That was the time, I think.
Well, it kind of throws a wrench into my theory of him being like a legitimate spy.
I love it when you block your own thought.
I don't know that despite a mental breakdown, he's probably killed people in the past.
Possibly.
Prior to his family.
We don't know.
If we're going with my theory.
Classified.
Yeah. I don't know that, I think poking holes in my own theory, I don't know that you bludgeon your family to death if you're experienced in assassination or killing.
I see what you're saying. There's very small tracking to that.
That's a very emotional, what's the word we're looking for?
It is.
Personal
way of killing people.
I think that you can have someone who is a trained assassin for the government even, who can still maintain a level of appropriateness and would probably never cause harm. Lots of people in the military who have PTSD do that on a regular basis.
I know,
and
but
come home and they're lovely
I'm thinking
people.
he would have killed him in a cleaner way.
Unless he was having that mental break. I don't know that he necessarily would have, but I really love, can you put a pin in that? Because I'm going to get to something in a minute that's going to kind of make a light bulb go off for you in terms of another potential theory. Okay?
Pinned.
Profiles indicate that Bishop is the type of fellow who will run until caught. The profilers don't look at him as ever being the type of person who would unalive himself.
And remember, the profilers have more information than what is available to us
because it's an open case.
I think he's far too arrogant and self-confident to off himself.
Yes.
They also believe that there is no situation where he would ever consider turning himself in.
No.
So this isn't going to be you got me.
No, he knows all too well what would happen to him.
With his fluency in several languages and experience in international cultures, he was considered, and still is, an international flight risk. And think about airport security or lack thereof in the 1970s.
1979. Oh.
But still, the question is, they were able to find him in a relatively quick amount of time. Wouldn't you agree, at least in terms of finding his car and connecting those murders for the 70s?
Fast.
I mean, you had mentioned to us, I think before we started recording, how impressed you were with how quickly some of this happened investigation-wise.
Yeah.
So the fact that I do wonder if they wouldn't have, knowing that he has access, his diplomatic passport's missing. He clearly is a person who has.
Shouldn't they be posting his picture in airports?
That's my
at the
thought.
bare minimum. I mean, I
That's
can't get my fingernail clippers on a plane nowadays, but you would think they would at least post this possible mass murderer.
Yes. Jason, the park ranger ran his plate and got an immediate hit
so
back with a phone call.
They had this guy.
Yeah.
But again, he was also changing his identity that we believe.
Maybe. We know if we believe the sighting that he had dyed his hair at least and was changing direction, had clearly abandoned the dog. Probably, I don't think he hurt the dog, but it was identifying.
Exactly. It was a specific identification key that he's like, can't have this.
Do we think it's possible that he was able to use his international diplomacy ID before all of it was connected?
Maybe, but I did say, wouldn't they have been alerted and potentially caught him at the gate when he offered his international passport to board?
You would hope.
Unless that happened prior to an alert getting to them, but in which case, wouldn't you say, holy shit, I let that person on this flight? Maybe it did, and they have that information, and we aren't privy to it. He also has
a pilot's license.
He does have a pilot's license.
And I still hold that if we're believing about his career, our theory is, he probably had a plane that available to him somewhere, and I believe he probably had money. He took out like $300 from the bank. The guy probably had a lot more than that, obviously, but
maybe they were having financial difficulties because he was stashing cash.
I think exactly. I think he was stashing cash just out of habit, based on what he was doing for a living.
And you can pay people for their silence. He was never there.
Right. You give someone a couple $100 in the 70s, you never saw me. Deal.
Yep.
That theory does indicate, though, some level of planning. So in that case, was this a planned assassination of his family where he had a plan to get away? Because I do more get the feeling that this was a break and he acted, but it doesn't mean that he didn't have those stashed anyway because of just a level of paranoia.
Yes, I agree with that.
And knowing what he's seen and done and means for a quick escape. Yeah. Haven't you ever laid in bed at night and thought about things like the zombie apocalypse?
Every
That's why
night.
I can't sleep.
I have a plan.
I know, me too.
Do you want to know what error we might be making in our theories?
Yes.
We are assuming that someone that is capable of killing their wife, mother, and children must be having a psychotic break.
No, I did think about that. That was that's what I was just bringing up, is that if this was a planned, premeditated thing with a means of escape.
But there's no motive.
There isn't.
I mean, not
freedom.
That we know of, but.
We don't. It is very
like I said,
possible.
There's. I think there's holes in when we're connecting our theories of he was probably a spy, a trained assassin working for the government, which is very viable.
What if he just wanted to kill him before somebody
and
else
maybe he
did?
just
and you guys have brought this.
But why would he do it like in that fashion? Bludgeon them with a hammer, drive them 5 hours in the woods, dig a hole, light them on fire, and burn them.
Why didn't he just leave him in the house?
Right. Mm-hmm. Make it look like a breaking and entering or something else. I mean, he's a smart man. We know he's smart. This is not this murder is not a smart murder.
What if he didn't do any of this and he was kidnapped?
This is not a murder.
You also put a pin in that.
Okay.
Maybe it wasn't him.
Right.
We do know that Bishop was
pissed some people off as a
Absolutely. And we know that he's intelligent and trained enough that perhaps in order to gain access to a flight, he altered his appearance, produced false identification, made his way to an airport, bought a ticket, and climbed on board.
Mm-hmm.
And
because
then he's
that's
just gone.
Not that hard to do in the 70s.
I don't think so. I don't.
Jesus, you guys, it wasn't that hard to do prior to 9/11.
It wasn't. That's fair. So in months and years following the massacre of his family, there was extensive media coverage across the U.S. and around the world. So we may not remember it because we was babies at the time, but this was highly publicized because this is scary, okay? The government's like, son of a bitch, someone's gone rogue.
It's like
Jason Bourne. They're like, holy shit.
Right.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Like Bishop's loose. Holy shit.
If we want to Avengers this, it's like Hulk smash, like the green guy got loose, okay? So there was hundreds of articles at some point published on this. If you start looking up William Bradford Bishop, you're going to find all kinds of information, some better than others. But one that appeared in the May-June of 2013 edition of Bethesda magazine contained an article titled "The Man Who Got Away" by Eugene Meyer. Now, this author surmised a conspiracy theory. Maryland law enforcement officials examined the State Department's file on Bishop and found that it contained a certified letter from an Albert Kenneth Bankston, a now deceased prisoner housed at the time in a federal penitentiary in Illinois.
Okay.
The letter was addressed to Bishop at his work address at the State Department. It was dated 16 days following the murders and hinted at a murder for hire plot involving several other people.
Really?
Among them was David Paul Allen, quote unquote, who was familiar with the area where the bodies ended up. Allen had reported, allegedly in an interview with law enforcement, that he and associates were paid to kill the family members. Does that explain why you'd have an inarticulate killing? While Bishop was away on business. But he insists he never followed through with the crime.
Convenient.
So someone else probably did.
Even more fucked up, when law enforcement officials later returned to the State Department to re-examine the letter, it was missing, allegedly removed by an unnamed FBI agent.
Wait, what?
Legit.
No.
Evidence came up missing. But even though this evidence disappeared, alleged tampering and conspiracy theory was interesting, it was also a dead end. I do think if this was true, if it was true, it could explain how Bishop could have perhaps been gone and already out of the country while others pulled off the murders in his vehicle and dumped the car, the belongings, and the dog.
Right.
But the person would have had to have looked similar to him, and it still wouldn't explain a motive then for Bishop to have wanted his family dead to begin with. And if there was a motive other than the psychotic break, it still remains a mystery. And then Bankston, that prisoner, he actually died in 1983.
Well, I think that it also would be really easy to make it look like this dude that is on these psychotropic medications had a psychotic break and offed his family. And then perhaps he was just simply kidnapped for the intelligence that he may have on one of the many countries that he was a part of for his work.
Wouldn't that be a son of a bitch if Bishop was
right.
offed or kidnapped because of his mission? His family was murdered and dumped.
And I'm not huge on government conspiracies, but if they knew he was having these mental problems and he's no longer useful to them, or he could leak secrets.
They didn't, though, know he was having the mental problems, if you believe the report, until after the murders occurred when the FBI started digging, because his psychiatric care was private between him and his psychiatrist.
Okay.
In terms of the break. What they did know, because they started investigating, was reports of people at work saying that he had some anger management issues and was hard on
nothing's
himself.
private if you have deep enough pockets.
I firmly believe that.
Hold on, though. What
Nothing's beyond the realm of making shit up, which is a technical term either. Right? We live in a time now that's super scary with AI where you can make it look like a lot of things happen. It's a really scary time for law enforcement and prosecution and judges to try to sift through evidence of what things that are clearly made up.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, if I walk past somebody walking a dog, they're like, did you see this guy walking a dog? I saw a guy walking a dog. It could have been him. I don't look at people's faces that well.
Oh, I'm a terrible person to ask.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But like, have you seen this guy? Unless I had, like, if I talked to them face to face and spoke to them and looked them dead in the eye, I'm not recognizing anybody I walk by, even if it's in the woods.
And even then, I'm only going to notice them if they have some weird type of marking or a deformity, or they're exceptionally hot. Like, those are the only times I'm going to recognize or remember a face.
Or they did something weird that drew my attention.
Did you see this?
I'm the weird person that they recognize going down the hikes, yelling things like, I'm just going to fucking fall and roll down the mountain. It'll be quicker.
Did you see this crazy blonde lady talk about rolling down the hill? Yeah, I saw her.
Yeah.
You couldn't miss her. She was literally holding her boobs while she was going down because the sports bra wasn't helping. It was terrible.
Like, that's noticeable.
It is noticeable.
Did you see this very plain guy who's probably like 5'11", 175 pounds with brown hair? I don't know.
That can blend in any type of an environment.
Yeah,
but I ran across this guy with black hair that was speaking fluent Serbo-Croatian.
Right.
And
he had a dog. I think it was a lab or retriever. It must have been him.
I don't know. It was dyed pink.
I feel like again, I'm not big on conspiracies, but I'm leaning towards, I don't know that he killed his family.
And which is why he has been charged. He has been indicted, by the way, and he is wanted to this day, but he is still allegedly the murderer. I think that he did it. I just get the feeling like this is a break type of situation, but if so, he was able to really recollect his thoughts and get himself back on track.
Right.
To disappear.
He'd be 89 years old.
Unless he died many years ago.
Maybe he tripped and wandered off into the Smokies.
So something else, though. What if, you're right. Like, perhaps no one knew about his psychotropic medication. Okay. And perhaps this was a murder for hire, something deep due to his government job, and his family wasn't safe. And what ends up happening is discovering that this man was on psychotropic medication completely diverted the investigation. We have had cases like that where one tidbit, and I'll cover this case someday, but the Adam Walsh case.
Oh, God, yeah.
There's information in the Adam Walsh case that diverted investigators in the wrong direction for years.
Yeah, like people taking responsibility for murders that they clearly couldn't have committed.
Right.
Well, there's that, but I mean, like I said, someday I will cover it because I've read several books on it. But his wife was having an affair. Okay, so the information was, they took that information and they
You know,
they ran with
what's
it.
interesting is that
Just like this could possibly be.
You brought up an interesting point, though, there, because they talked about how on his part there was no allegations of infidelity. Nobody said anything about
Her. Right.
We don't know a lot about the victims, and digging through even, like, and obviously could find some stuff about his parents, but his wife and kids, there wasn't a lot of information on.
But I just think given the brutal way that these children especially were murdered and the medication that they knew he was on, it's very easy investigatively wise to be like, well, clearly this is what happened. He had a psychotic break. But up to this point, he actually hadn't had any sort of psychosis. He had some anxiety and some depression and some insomnia.
Treatable issues.
Things that a lot of people that walk among us today or that are listening right now all suffer from as well.
Think about 1970s psychotropics, though, too. And I know people who were prescribed those medications, and just literally what they do to you in terms of your thinking. Is it possible, and I have to argue that it could be, that he was having some type of a psychotic break, having clearly had some type of an addiction and an issue now with his medicine, and then once he got to dump the body and he gets to the the Smoky Mountains part of it, he stops taking his meds, we know, because he leaves his meds in the car. Is it possible he had some clarity? They automatically go to, did he have a psychotic break because he stopped using his medication? What if the medications caused the psychotic break? He stops using it, and then all of a sudden his wherewithal comes back, and he's like, motherfucker, what did I do? Where I think you would be feeling some remorse and maybe questioning unaliving yourself, and then deciding against it because you have all of the, I'm going to move and start a new life. I'm just going to leave and start a new life.
Or you do just disappear.
So that Bethesda Magazine article, The Man That Got Away by Eugene Meyer, he also reported that in 2000, 24 years after the murders, a woman in North Carolina paid $38 for a diary at a flea market that was supposedly Bishop's possession. Because, you know, people love their murder souvenirs. So it got advertised as his possession. She buys it.
No shit.
The diary was supposed to have documented recordings of life events between 1965 and 1971.
Wouldn't this have been evidence?
Yes, ma'am. It showed insight into an ambitious governmental ladder climber, eager to scale the State Department rungs, but also beset by a cursed insomnia. There was no proof it was his diary, however, in terms of authentication, and because Bishop had become a cult figure of sorts, most believe the diary to have been a forgery.
Yeah.
But yes, it would have been evidence, and I'm going to explain in just a quick sentence here in a little bit how that may have potentially escaped the FBI. Although I do find it hard to believe that when you're going through a house as thoroughly as they probably went through it, that they wouldn't have found it. But let's just say items got boxed up and sold off, okay?
Okay.
I'm going to talk to you about possible sightings since he was in the Smokies.
Okay.
Bishop had approximately 1 week of advance time before the authorities began looking for him. It has been suggested that he could have traveled on his diplomatic passport. FBI Special Agent Steve Vogt stated in 2014 that neither Bishop's wallet nor his passport have ever been found. It has also been speculated that Bishop may have had intelligence training in the 1960s, which could have helped him evade detection in 1976. Well, thanks, Special Agent Steve Vogt. We figured that part out, actually.
Right.
Since 1976, there have been numerous sightings of Bishop in various European countries, including Italy, Belgium, the UK, Finland, the Netherlands, Germany, Greece, Spain, Sweden, and Switzerland. Pretty big list.
All areas where he would be able to communicate, too.
Yep. But
And that he had been before.
Yeah.
I think he's traveled everywhere. But here's the 3 most credible sightings noted by the United States Marshals. In July of 1978, so this is at least not far, like these aren't recent, a Swedish woman who said she had collaborated with Bishop while on a business trip in Ethiopia prior reported she'd spotted him twice in a public park in Stockholm during a span of 1 week. She stated she was absolutely certain that man was Bishop. She did not contact the police at the time because she, being over in Sweden in July of 78, did not yet realize that he was wanted for murder in the U.S.
Well, because he wasn't wanted for murder till 79,
and
right?
I
Or 70, is this 76?
It's 78.
I mean, the murders
When did
happened
they
in
charge
76, right?
Murders happened in 76.
Yes. Okay,
But
so this is
when
two...
did they...
He was charged at the middle of March in 1976.
Okay.
It was fast.
Yes.
All right. But she didn't know in 78.
She didn't. And
being
even
in a different country, of course.
And it was publicized internationally about him being wanted, but that doesn't mean you pay attention all the time.
not
I
at
don't
all.
know.
I couldn't tell you.
No, I don't know who's on the America's Most Wanted 10 Most Wanted list like right now.
Me neither.
I could make some guesses, but I don't know.
Me neither.
So, and just note too, I did just a little bit of more research on her, and her name wasn't disclosed, but this was a person who, she did work with him when they were in Ethiopia. It was a true business trip, and she was another person who is credible, who worked in that line, who indicated that she saw him. A year later, 6 months later, in January of 1979, Bishop was reportedly seen by Roy Harrell, the State Department colleague who last saw him before the murders Remember, he saw him outside and said he was acting a little whatever. Weird. He sees him in a restroom at a urinal in Sorrento, Italy. So he's standing there taking a piss, and he looks over and he greets a bearded man, and he sees him like eye to eye while they're at the urinal, and he goes, "Hey, you're Brad Bishop, aren't you?" And the man responded in a distinctly American accent, "Oh my God, no," and fled from the urinal, from the bathroom.
Yeah. Listen, I want to point something out. Have you ever, well, actually, Jason, you told this as a brain Beth not too long ago, that you mistook me. You thought that there was
that
someone.
was the last brain bath.
The minute, though, that woman talked to you, it turned around and really showed you could feel that was not me, right?
Like 100%.
You can feel.
So this is the opposite.
It is when you have had a connection and been in somebody's energy before, you can recognize them. Like people that have worked with other people before. You know what I mean? Like I always find that really fascinating because you've been in their energy before. So you can feel that and I don't know how many times I've done that where I've like done a double take and mistook somebody for somebody, and then I'm like, oh shoot, nope, I almost said something to them. That's not them at all.
But when you see someone that you haven't seen, you're not expecting to see, be like, this is you.
This is you. I can feel that this is you. Mm-hmm.
And and again, Harold is a person who he worked with him. He was a coworker, and he was one of the last people to see him. He isn't just a random person.
But then for him to say, "Oh my God, no!"
Right?
Ordinarily, he'd be like, "No, mate, not me."
Right.
You know, whatever.
The same with the Swedish woman 6 months before, which is why these are listed as the most credible sightings, because they aren't just passersby who've seen this on the news and went, "Hey, that looked like Brad Bishop."
They're not just witnesses; they are people that have spoken to him and had a relationship with him.
Well, that's why the third clue is also interesting. Because on September 19th in 1994, on a Basel train platform, and Basel is in northwestern Switzerland, a neighbor who had known Bishop and his family in Bethesda was on vacation and reported she had seen Bishop from a few feet away. The neighbor described Bishop as well-groomed and said he was getting into a car. She was sure it was him. And this, again, it's a neighbor, someone who lived with him 20 years ago almost in the same area in his neighborhood. She's in Switzerland on vacation and just runs across.
And you notice none of these sightings are happening in America because he's smart enough to never come back to America.
Not since his last known sighting, if we believe it, with, I think it was the gun attempting to turn that, to trade that in.
Yeah, on his way out of America.
So I want to talk to you about some events following the murders. As Bishop was a wanted murderer with an international manhunt afoot, the State Department followed official procedure for eliminating Bishop from its employee roster. Within a month of the disappearance, a month, you guys, think about this, his paycheck stopped and his job was filled. His paychecks kept going for a month?
Wow.
So within a month of his disappearance, they finally stop it, and his job was filled. And then by the end of July, so just a little bit
in March.
Yeah, by the end of July, they sent a registered letter to his address ordering him to return to work or be fired.
Oh God!
Guys, he's clearly been indicted for 5 counts of murder, and there's an international manhunt. But they're like, you know what? HR says we have to send an official letter, so you better get your fucking ass back here to work or you're fired.
It's in the union contract.
You are fired, sir. Well, the Washington Post in February of 1977, 11 months after his family was violently murdered, reports the house went on the market and was sold to a new family. In July of that same year, 77, great year, That was my birthday. The family's possessions, toys, household items, including potential books and diaries, and clothes went to auction.
Oh.
In October, Great Smoky Mountain National Park Ranger Jack Collier actually ended up paying $1,750 for that station wagon that Bishop had allegedly hauled his dead wife, mother, and little boys to their fiery grave in
For
North Carolina.
what?
Well, these things go up for auction. It probably was sitting in a lot as, evidence. And
First of all,
But
it was
he
only...
had to have known.
It
He
was
did know.
It was only a 2-year-old car. It was in
I don't
1974.
care.
So, I mean, it was a...
3
If
years
it's a
old.
good deal on a car,
Bought it for $1,700.
there's 5 bodies in it.
Yeah, I agree.
If
I'm
you're
agreeing
frugal-
with you.
If you're like,
If you're
listen,
frugal.
Jay,
I don't think we should be judging
I
Jack
can get you a
Collier.
brand new Jeep for $1,000, but
It carried 5 dead
there's a
bodies.
bunch of dead children in it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna buy it.
There were.
But you are offended by dead children, whereas other people are like,
My dead bodies. Someone's dead mother was in it. I don't want it.
I
The
agree.
haunted station wagon.
Right?
It is.
Yeah.
Some people just aren't bothered by that sort of thing.
Jeez, ow.
I know.
Well, 40 years later, y'all, law enforcement has not forgotten the case. In April of 2014, the FBI reopened the Bishop case and added him to its 10 America's Most Wanted
Really?
list.
Okay.
Hoping at that point in time, because we're at 2014 now, that social media would reach a
Yeah.
global audience with information. The FBI poster that showed the relatively handsome and the relatively handsome
Age progression?
Yes.
Yeah.
So thank you. The age progression they did actually was on a bust. That's what I was trying to spit out. So instead of just age progressing a photo and posting it, they took an actual bust, like, founding father type statue ahead.
Hall
Yeah.
of Fame.
And turned it into a bust of what he might look like at the time. He would have been in that time frame,
Gosh, in
which was
2014?
77. And they actually added a beard and some glasses because apparently that's what happens when you're 77. At the time,
Or, how old are you, Jason? No,
up.
just kidding.
At the time, they were offering a $100,000 reward to anyone providing information that led to his arrest.
Okay.
He was then featured, speak of the devil, on John Walsh's America's Most Wanted. After that aired, a call came in from Scottsboro, Alabama in 2014. There was a homeless man that was struck and killed by a car while walking along the road in 1981 that had never been identified. And apparently, the Scottsboro PD had reopened the case and noticed that the morgue photo of the dead man resembled Bishop.
Interesting.
The body was exhumed. They went to the trouble of actually exhuming the body and compared DNA. It was not a match. The deceased man has also never been identified, which I wanted to mention
that's
because
awful.
it's sad and no one will probably ever cover his case. So I did want to mention that
Yeah.
if you lost a loved one in 1981 in Scottsboro, Alabama, that's where you are. So possible current whereabouts and some new information. Other media presented the case clearly. Like, it was so popular. After the initial investigation, the Bishop case became the subject of articles in national publications like the Reader's Digest,
Of
our
course.
personal favorite.
I love the Reader's Digest.
And-
Good old RD.
That's right. And Time Magazine, especially during milestone anniversaries, like, 10 years, 20 years, 25 years, that type
Sure.
of thing. It was followed on an ad hoc basis by the Washington Post, the Washington Star, the Washington Times, as well as local Washington, D.C. television stations. The case was featured, other than on America's Most Wanted, on television shows such as NBC's Unsolved Mysteries, ABC's Vanished. A German TV show, Aktenzeichen XY Ungläst,
Nice job.
I'm sure that's
Nailed it.
also featured the case in its 250th episode on November 9th of 1992 to find possible evidence of Bishop living abroad. So
Sure.
I'm glad some international countries brought
Me
this
too.
to their public's attention as well. In 2010, authorities believe Bishop was living in Switzerland, Italy, or someplace in Europe, or possibly California.
Wow, that's a wide range, guys.
No explanation given as to why they said or possibly
right.
California. They do believe he may have worked as a teacher or become involved in criminal
well,
activities.
remember,
so
he
either
was
you're
born
a teacher
in
or you're
Pasadena.
committing crimes. Right. That was where he originated
Yep.
from.
He was born in Pasadena, so maybe he has some connections
and then
there.
we brought this up during your California case last week. California's more rural and easier to hide in than people think. One, you can hide in the masses.
You can
in an urban
homestead there.
area. But getting lost and not having access to places for days in Cali is a potential for him as well, since he did so well in the Smokies. The FBI also used fingerprints to determine in 2011 that reports that Bishop had died in Hong Kong or France were false. So they're continuing to get reports of deceased individuals and running fingerprints to confirm that it was not, in fact,
I love
him.
that.
Authorities stated in 2014 that Bishop was probably living in plain sight in the U.S. and avoiding discovery by avoiding arrest. Because an arrest on any charge, no matter how little, would enable law enforcement to fingerprint him, which in turn would link him with the murders. In early April of 2014, WRC TV in Washington, D.C. launched a webpage to display multiple investigative reports and extensive information on the Bishop case. This included samples of Bishop's handwriting, fingerprints, dental records, and previously unseen Bishop family videos.
Oh.
On July 27th of 2014, the search for Bishop was featured on The Hunt with John Walsh on CNN. So remember, when he stopped doing the America's Most Wanted, he did The Hunt with John Walsh. So he featured him on that as well. That was a CNN show. In March, this is fantastic, you guys, and it's how I'm going to end, honestly. In March of 2021, a woman who had been adopted came forward claiming that she found out through a DNA testing service that Bishop was her biological father.
What?
The FBI confirmed she was indeed his biological daughter.
Shut up.
Okay, now let me explain. A Washington Post article on March 9th of 2021 written by Teo Armu is interesting and really proof that DNA and genealogy can still maybe lead us in the right direction with solving cases. It has it in this. And I am reading directly from this Washington Post article. So if anybody looks it up, yeah, I read it verbatim. All credit to them.
You're giving it credit.
Not one word was mine. Growing up south of Boston, she says, it often seemed to Kathy Gilchrist that her personality never quite matched up with her adoptive family. While her parents had been shy and quiet, she was a quote-unquote bossy little girl with a vivid imagination and a type A personality, she wrote. When she took a DNA test decades later and eventually unearthed the identity of her birth father, it came as no surprise to find a man who exhibited the same kind of drive and flair for the dramatic. But Gilchrist, 63, says she could not have anticipated just how notorious he would be. Her birth father, William Bradford Bishop Jr., she found, was accused of murdering his wife, his mother, and 3 sons who would be her half-brothers with a sledgehammer, she would learn. It's not a sledgehammer, but whatever.
Right.
When Gilchrist first found out about his identity, she says, I just laughed this is what she told WEC-TV. She said, we have a great sense of humor in my adoptive family. And I thought, oh, of course, that's fantastic. My father is a murderer. That revelation, which she also recounted in a book that she wrote called It's in My Genes. That's a little scary, by the way. Is the latest case of a DNA test leading to a very different kind of genealogical discovery, sometimes with troubling consequences. Yet, even as genealogical databases become increasingly popular, few can claim to have found ties to a fugitive believed to still be on the loose. In 2016, the FBI said a team of federal and local law enforcement officers had spent the past 2 years following up on more than 650 leads to locate Bishop. And that's in 2016. So this is the first time we found out just like how much work they're still putting into all of these leads.
Yeah.
650. They didn't find those 3 as credible, by the way. When she first conducted a 23andMe DNA test around the same time, Gilchrist told WECT she only received 1 distant family connection from the vial of spit she'd sent in. This person, her name was Susan Gilmore, and she was a 3rd cousin living in Maine. Besides their similar last names, the 2 women discovered a number of uncanny parallels. They'd both majored in English in college, they both went on to become teachers, and they both had the same hair color. But Gilmore, who was herself a genealogist, that's why she took the 23andMe, offered to dig a bit deeper for Gilchrist's birth parents. When she finally landed upon Bishop after a years-long search, she decided to only give her 3rd cousin his name. Gilchrist said she remembered asking, why weren't you telling me about him? Is he someone famous? She needed no convincing that Bishop was in fact her father. His children, her siblings, resembled her more than her own kids, she recalled. And if you pull up a picture, she looks just like that man. And when I look at the behaviors and characteristics, it's more than clear in my mind, she told WECT, noting that they had both struggled with insomnia. He had Gilchrist, and here's the important part. He had actually had Gilchrist with her birth mother in 1957.
Okay.
But then he married his high school sweetheart 2 years later, eventually settling in Bethesda with her, his mother, and 3 sons. But he clearly had another life that I don't think anybody knew about, including his wife or kids or his parents. Gilchrist would have been in her late teens at the time he murdered his second family.
So she's older than her brothers. What would be her half brothers?
And here's the weird part. Her mother, her birth mother, had actually listed a different name for her father on adoption records than him and on her original birth certificate. Either she was really confused or she was leading a life that involved keeping a lot of secrets, she told Bethesda Beat. There's a lot of mystery.
Right.
Or that's the name he gave her.
That could be.
From one of his other identities.
Who knows? I don't think he'd been there yet because he marries the high school sweetheart.
He would only been 20 years old.
Yeah, he was
21.
He was young when that happened.
He was born in 36.
I thought it was 39.
No, he was born in 36.
What I think makes sense is he graduated from Yale in 59. So I think, and she was born 2 years before he graduated, some type of a tryst of some kind. And, and the mom ends up giving birth. But there's all kinds of stuff that's happening now just about this unknown life and things that had happened beforehand. So on April 10th of 2014, the FBI did place him on 10 most wanted fugitives, but on June 27th, 2018, just 4 years later, Bishop at that time would have been 81 years old. He was removed from the list, making room, the FBI said, for another quote unquote dangerous fugitive. However, he is still, even at this age, what'd you say he would have been in his 90s?
89 right now.
Being actively pursued by the FBI, and an Interpol red notice is still in effect.
I think it's probably a slim percentage chance that he's still alive,
but
just naturally.
But if he had died, I mean, there's potential that there's some DNA someplace. I mean, they would have wanted to have identified a person, but I mean, I guess if he took on a whole nother life and he was, Dick White out in Cali, and that's what he presented himself was, and he has fake paperwork when he died, and if they didn't have to do an autopsy and there was nothing suspect about it, then Dick White is buried someplace.
They're not going to fingerprint a corpse for no reason.
No, that's fair. That's fair. So, but one of the more significant kind of turned into crimes of the century that came from a missing murderer in the Great Smoky Mountain National Park. So as I'm flipping through this book, which is fantastic, by the way, and I'm probably going to cover a few more cases from it because there's some really good ones, but this was the one that just stood out as the most kind of terrifying.
Yeah.
For its time.
Probably just lived among the population very carefully, whether internationally or nationally.
They live among us, Charnell.
They do. But
I'm still not 100% convinced he killed his family.
I know.
That's okay.
And I think
he's been indicted.
But I think that if he didn't, then somebody did, and he had a reason to hide. And never be found again. Either he killed them in his hiding, which is the easy way out of this.
Well, it does cause concern that letter came from that prisoner who
That's
also had someone
random.
on the outside. Both of them, well, you couldn't interview the prisoner because he had ended up dying, but the other guy that was on the outside, the one that apparently had connections to the North Carolina, the OBX area, it says, we never followed through with it. But if you weren't successful in obtaining one person to kill your family, pretty reasonable to assume he could have found someone else to do that or at least assist him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you go in and commit this murder and then load them in my car, and then I'm going to hop in it and drive it and burn them, or you drive it, burn them, and then I'm going to take over. I guess there's not necessarily in that time frame DNA to have put him in the car, but
how did the reports of him buying a shovel, pitchfork, and hammer and gas, how did they confirm any of that? Just people at the store being like, yeah, we saw him in here?
I'm assuming they showed him pictures and said, have you seen this guy? And they said yes.
Or he used his credit card.
Well, I think they worked it in reverse order. And from both ends, really, because the reverse order part is what they found at the scene in terms of what took him back to that hardware store.
The pitchfork with the hardware store.
Yeah, with the label on it.
Yeah.
But then after he was acting weird, his coworker is the one who was the last person to see him from work before he went and allegedly did the deed. And then they were able to follow that when he left there, he went to his bank. They're clearly going to have known that it was him that withdrew the money.
Well,
so we know he withdrew the money.
Provide ID.
And then there
were cameras back then.
There's receipts, and there's no CCTV alleged, but I think that you have to have some level of reliability on, oh yeah, we saw him. Here's his receipt. This is what he purchased here. And it just so happened to be something that matches what was used in a murder. I do think that he clearly got all of the things to go and do the murder.
Well, and remember back then, if he used his credit card, it had his, they did that.
Have credit cards in the 70s?
Yes.
Yeah, but he may have used cash. He'd just gone to
one.
the bank and withdrawn cash too. I think he may have used cash for those. My guess is that they actually just ID'd
that he
him.
used a credit card. That he used a credit card.
Which place was it
something.
that he used the card?
So I'm just saying like how the old credit cards used to be run.
Oh God, on the carbon paper.
Yeah, on the carbon paper. So all they have to do is ask, hey, do you have any credit card receipts for, William Bradford Bishop?
I still don't know that
Whatever his name is.
No, I never said he used a credit card. He drove to his bank. He withdrew several $100s. Then he went to the mall, bought a ball peen hammer and a gas can, filled the gas can and the tank of his station wagon. Then he drove to the hardware store and he purchased a shovel and pitchfork.
I'm gonna have to look through your notes because I swear you said
But
credit
I
card, and I
still
thought,
don't-
boy,
there's-
that's weird that he was using a credit card. Go ahead, Jay.
Purchased tennis shoes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. He purchased the tennis shoes with
With
the
his
credit
credit
card.
card.
Right,
I knew
yeah.
he.
Yeah, sorry.
Come on, guys.
I'm still stuck on
But
the whole.
the tennis shoes aren't a murder weapon. No. He could have purchased the tennis shoes for,
Right.
running,
Right.
running away.
And he was an outdoorsy guy.
Oh, according to the FBI profilers.
Right. No, I just think that his mental status, sure, let's go with that, is
Status is correct.
yeah, his mental status, I don't know that it was escalated to the point of bludgeoning your family.
I'm sure
And
we don't
there's
have,
we don't have information for any real motive.
No, I'm sure we don't have all the information
Right.
either. We have what was allowed to have been disclosed about things
Because
of his
it's an
coworkers
open
saw
case.
and
I'm
yeah.
sticking
But
with conspiracy.
I do love, I actually like the idea of, I hate it, but I like the idea of we don't know what kind of adverse reaction he was having from the medication
Right.
that's no longer allowed to be used on adults,
At least
humans.
not for those purposes.
Exactly.
You
So,
know, I'm feeling
there's that too.
Anxious and depressed, and also I might be an alcoholic and I can't sleep. Oh, you know what? We have
Like
one.
when they run a commercial
one
for that now,
medication.
One
be like
run-of-the-mill.
side effects may include homicidal rage,
Yeah.
Alcoholism.
Right.
And anal linkage.
Yeah.
Leakage.
anal linkage,
The wild potato chips of the early 2000s.
blindness, herpes, homicidal rage.
Right. A tear in your perineum.
Right.
That's true. I heard that
I
the other
know.
day.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh gosh.
Like a tear in your
Like, I'll
perineal area.
I'll just
You
die of
inserting
whatever it is I have.
rectally?
Fuck that.
No, that is not where you insert it. It's an oral
Oh.
pill, but it could cause a tear in your perineum.
Good
All right.
God. I need a brain bath.
Okay,
I
I
need to
have
be
one.
bathed.
I have one. I have a. It's still on our theme from last episode about reviews.
Okay. I like
Okay.
reviews.
So this is actually somebody selling their travel trailer.
Okay.
It's titled. It's a picture of a really pretty travel trailer.
yeah.
$9,400. Travel trailer must go. Divorce clearance.
God.
Selling my travel trailer because my now ex-husband decided to turn it into his personal love shack with his coworker from Olive Garden.
Oh,
She's got
breadsticks.
I was gonna say if she's bringing breadsticks, we got to give the guy a little leniency here.
It says
He was enticed. Entrapment.
she's got unlimited breadsticks and apparently zero morals. This trailer's gotta go ASAP. I'm tired of looking at the scene of the crime where they were cheating behind my mom's place while I was 8 months pregnant.
Oh,
It says
poor form.
pregnant.
Pregnant.
I think she actually just typoed. She put too many G's in it
But
in
now
her
I can
rage.
hear her saying
Yeah,
pregnant.
you could just feel her. You could
Pregnant.
just feel her getting angry
Yes,
as she types.
as she's typing
Charnell,
it.
do you remember going from pregnant to pregnant?
Yes, I do.
It's 8 months.
It is.
It's 8 months.
It is. Absolutely. Meanwhile, they were back here pretending this was some kind of Tuscan retreat. Spoiler, it's a gravel lot in central Texas. All bedding, cushions, and surfaces have been professionally sanitized of bodily fluids and a truly amazingly alarming amount of breadstick crumbs. It's in great shape. Serious inquiries only. Don't lowball me. I've already been insulted enough.
They're just in that trailer banging and eating breadsticks.
Yes.
I
And she's
can't
like, get
think-
rid of this. I get rid of this.
At my age and with me having eaten healthy now for the past few months. Nothing sounds better to me than banging and eating breadsticks.
I agree 100%.
I
I actually know what I'm doing tonight.
Banging and eating breadsticks.
It's a random Tuesday night, but I'm like, honey, you want to go to the Olive Garden?
Right.
It's
We
already
don't
7
have one
o'clock.
near us.
But
I'm thinking to myself, I have
Drive
leftover
45 minutes to
spaghetti
the Olive Garden.
we do.
and some garlic bread.
Listen, we still have to record a bonus episode.
Get your
If
5
I
cheese.
We
tell
aren't going to go
Matt-
drive to the Olive Garden, Charnell?
No, if I go
By
tell
the time
Matt,
he gets back.
yes, to go get it now. If he leaves right now,
But if you tell him
can
why,
get it.
he will totally drive 45 minutes
He
to get those
will.
breadsticks.
He will.
We'll all bang him for unlimited breadsticks.
Ah,
I said we'll bang him. I didn't say he'd bang you.
I'm not banging him.
He's pretty, though. Look at his
He
eyes.
is my size.
He's so
very-
tiny.
I do like the petite ones.
Good God, it's a general audience episode. We're so sorry.
Sorry.
That was not Matt's. He didn't consent, and we apologize.
And
He
he'll-
doesn't listen.
Listen, he doesn't
ever.
listen, and this is what he gets for not listening. He supports us in other ways, but it's not by listening.
It's not. It might be by going to get a Olive Garden.
Exactly. He definitely would. Although I can see the
Remember
text.
our old Alex, the Olive Garden? When you're there, you're there.
Yeah.
The bot that wrote the
Yeah, I do.
ad.
Yeah. However, I could see him texting me
I
back
like
and
these-
saying, I get that for free already without driving 45 minutes to Olive Garden.
Yeah.
He'd probably be, but that's a hard argument to argue with. Like, you're
Well, you
right.
need to not put out for a few days and then ask for the breadsticks.
Yes, that's what we need to do.
Fair.
I mean, what I need to
Right.
do
Right.
for us.
So do it for the team.
Okay.
Take one for the team.
I can do that, guys.
Sorry.
It'll be hard, but I can.
Sorry.
Well, I hope you enjoyed the craziness that's
We did.
unsolved.
Thank you so much for bringing us such an amazing case. What button do you want to push,
I want to hit
Jason?
the music at the end.
Okay.
To end it
Okay.
too.
I'm going to tell them to keep it curious.
Okay.
And I'm going to say keep listening.
And I'm going to say till next time.
Okay.
We're both going to say
Bye-bye.
bye-bye.
Bye bye.